Hi there. Welcome. This is Catherine. I am the founder and CEO of Lipedema Simplified and the Lipedema Project. And we're here tonight, wherever you are. As I like to say, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, because we always have people coming from all over the world. So we're here to talk to and meet with Kathy Park and Andrzej Stec. They're both Zen teachers living in Korea, which is why we usually have these a little bit earlier. Today, it's a little bit later in the day here on the east coast of the US, and it's early morning in South Korea. So Andrzej and Kathy are our keynote speakers for the upcoming symposium. So we asked them to come and chat a little bit with us and talk a little bit about, well, their topic for the symposium is the Zen of healing, the wisdom of the body. So let's talk just a little bit about that. First of all, can you take a minute and just, tell us a little bit of, who you are and where you are?
Okay, so welcome everyone. My name is Andrzej, and originally I'm from Poland, but for the last 6 years I'm residing in Korea. And together with my wife Kathy, we teach Zen for the last 2 years. It all happens 99% online. And Catherine is our old friend, and she is uh, founder of this Lipedema project, and we would like to help her with which is what we know the best, which means how our mind is affecting everything in our life. So I hope that whatever we can add to help you to deal better with your condition, we try to do that.
I just have to be really what they say disclosure is Anjay has been my Zen guide and teacher for over 15 years. And it's really through Anjay's guidance and Kathy too, actually both of them, that have helped to pave the pathway for all of what we've done with the Lipedema Project and Lipedema Simplified. I can't imagine having done any of it without their guidance. Kathy, can you chat a little bit and tell people who you are? And then we can sort of talk about body and wisdom.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Kathy, and I'm very grateful to be here. I'm also very grateful to Catherine. As you said, Catherine, we've been friends for a long time. Also practicing, I would say spiritual friends along the path for a long time. So we already understand that community is really important. So I'm one of those people who actually find community, the support of friends, peers, and people with the similar kind of questions, especially, to be very, very important on our journey of any kind of healing. So I think we're going to focus on definitely the connection between mind and body. And that seems to be a very important aspect in any kind of healing, but especially because our tradition comes from Zen Buddhism. We will talk and share a lot more about the wisdoms of how the mind affects the body and the body affects the mind. And through that, we can find our wisdom, our ability, and our skills to really heal ourselves and also connect with others and allow the connection of our relationships to also nurture our well-being.
Oh, that's so beautifully said, both of you. Gail asked, she says you, but I'm assuming we, because we're all in the same
Oh.
office, Quantum School of Zen. But if so, do you follow a particular Buddhism? And we do. So can you talk to what is the Buddhism that we follow? I just follow you.
Yeah, we just follow the part of the Buddhists know by the kind of famous phrase. We call it Zen Buddhism. And probably you heard the word Zen, Z-E-N. And this is Japanese name, but actually that's can be traced back to the Buddha himself. And it's emphasizing, work with the mind. So the goal of the Zen practice is to understand yourself, because actually we believe that with this insight, when we understand who we really are, we can remove our suffering almost permanently, right? With complete understanding your true self, you get a different perspective on reality. So I think there are many branches of the Buddhism, and they have different goals, but our goals is mostly to understand who you are, and with this knowledge, wisdom, start use that in your everyday life to help yourself and help others in any situation, and become independent individual who is very competent in helping others.
Something that I'd like to add in, because I credit the work that I've done with Kathy and Andrzej for the past 15, 17, 18 years. It's been a long time. When I met them, my life fell apart, and it was the best thing that ever happened, because I found my true direction, if I can say that. And in my pathway came this diagnosis called lipedema. And there was nothing anybody could do. When things started to go haywire, I was losing my mobility. I was in constant pain. Kathy came to visit, and I was so embarrassed because I could barely walk. We met for tea. You remember that. We met at Dado Tea, and I could barely walk. And I knew that I had to find an answer. And the thing that is the reason that I bring this Zen into what we're doing is because it's through the practice of Zen. Yes, it's meditation. Yes, it's quiet time, but it is the ability to be present in the moment and take the action that's being called for. And that is the essence of Zen. And that is what happened for me. And that's why we have an organization called Lipoedema Project and another one called Lipedema Simplified, because I just kept taking the actions. And oftentimes in my sessions with both Kathy and Andrzej, there's this moment where you just, boom, it's sort of like they call it in Zen, being on the edge of a sword. And you just find the next action, and it takes you. And can you talk about that? Because really, you've heard me say this a million times, because if it wasn't for what I learned, I could never have done what I did, because now we have a worldwide community.
Yeah.
We have 30,000 women in our community, which is amazing. It's not what I set out to do, not consciously, until Andrzej told me, do this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Help others.
Yeah, Catherine, I mean, it's true. I think your experience is, and my experience, I think many people I know who, and it doesn't really matter what your religion is or your spiritual path, but, when we experience some moment or some, I would say, a kind of surrender. When there is a surrender, it means we're just accepting the truth as it is, whatever appears. For you, you were searching, you couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, what's wrong with my body, what's wrong with my health. And, we experience a lot of shame, self-deprecation, and we say deluded idea of oneself, because we have all this kind of suffering that informs us that something is wrong with me. But when we discover the truth about anything, especially about our health, about ourselves, then that's an incredible release. It's a surrender. It's also a surrender of our ego or our ideas, that is the moment when our heart opens. So when our heart opens, there are infinite possibilities. Then it's possible to heal. It's possible to start finding the right ways we should be taking care of ourselves, which doctor to go to, like how to eat, how to rest, how to start, working with our mind. So yeah, that's part of the process of what we call Zen training. And so rather than following some kind of tradition where, Zen is really about a science of your own self, recognizing your true nature. And as Andrzej said, recognizing what are my true potentials. Here we are, we thought we are limited by all these difficulties. But in fact, as Catherine said, by recognizing, oh, I have this so-called illness, and you used it. So I think any spiritual practice or anything we embark on to help ourselves, it has to have a practical application and has to bring results in our life. And I think, Catherine, what you've done with lipedema is a perfect example how you've turned around a devastating illness that you've lived with your whole life and turned it into something, a vessel to help all people who have the same problem. So, and that's what Zen is. Zen is not rejecting anything in your life that comes to you, good or bad, but using it. And then that becomes a real gem, a jewel that you can use to help other people. So I'm very excited about this conference and, what many people are going to be experiencing, and hopefully it'll become useful for everybody.
So I'm going to link it to find out more information about the conference. It's a ticker tape. And it's also in Facebook, it's above where we're talking, and in YouTube, it's below where we're talking. But Gail asks a couple of really good questions. These are questions that we would have at a Dharma talk. What is suffering in Zen?
Well, we say pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. So actually, we believe that most of the suffering it's your mindset. It's holding your situation and having a limited view. So we suffer because of our ignorance. We see ourselves in the wrong, light. And what, like Katie said, we mostly label our physical or mental suffering as something bad. But if you look at that from a little different perspective, you can see actually there's the opportunity. Actually, there's no such a thing like good or bad. And everything can be worked with and used. So actually the suffering comes from this limitation. When you think you are hopeless, you cannot do anything. And that's the biggest suffering. So there's many kinds of suffering, but suffering actually on ultimate level is an illusion.
That's good, because her next question, I think, balances this out, because she says, what is the true self?
Okay.
What are you doing right now, Catherine?
Yeah.
Is your true self here or not?
What do you think, Gail? This is Gail's question. Yeah.
Yeah, it's what is true self, right? Well, you think first you have to look at the question, what am I? What do you think who you are, right? Many people will think I'm this body, okay, or I'm a man, or I'm Polish, like in my case. My name is Andrzej, and that's what we think. And then the next thing, also my thinking, my mind. Okay, so this is my body, my mind, then my clothes, my house, my family, and my disease, right? So this I, my, me. But if you start looking really closely, what is this I? Then there's something interesting will happen, because this idea of I is just like a concept in your consciousness, and is created by mostly we pick it up from our environment. When we grew up and somebody gave us a name, call us this name. So then you see, okay, this is my body, this body has a name, and there's some kind of emotions and thinking inside this body. So that's my mind, and that's me. But if you really look deeper, there is something, bigger than that. And your body and your mind is always changing, right? Your emotions are always changing, but this thing, your true self, is never changes. And actually, if you really experience it, you will see this. Your true self will never get sick, it never get old, and never dies. Okay, it's always with you. This clarity. And some people will call it true self. Somebody will call it mind or true mind, or somebody will call it consciousness. So there are many labels we can give it to you, but actually you cannot explain it in words. So what I'm doing right now is little, limited. And Zen is pointing that actually you can experience it because you always have it. So you have this true self. You cannot lose it, but you are not aware of it. And when you get to it, you will see it has unlimited wisdom and compassion. And sometimes we tap into it during a day, and when we have this super clarity, like Catherine says, suddenly you see, okay, this is my situation, and this is what I have to do. And no matter what other people tell you to do, actually you don't listen to them, because you experience truth, and you have to be loyal to this truth, right? So you will just do the right thing, and doing right thing will prevent you from making your suffering bigger or completely avoid it. So that's actually the best thing. So clarity is connected to your true self. So if you go back to your true self, you will just activate it, and then with this wisdom and compassion, you can do the right things, make the right choices, and avoid suffering for yourself and for others.
So Gail has a few more comments. She says, I think it is before any ideas or thought forms. Is it the don't know self? That's what I was thinking. I can't explain it in words either. So, we're getting some more comments. This is great. So Philippa wants to know, do you have any practical tips for dealing with chronic pain that results from lipedema? But any chronic pain, really. And she says, especially, she just had surgery for lipedema. So how does one deal with chronic pain from a Zen perspective? That's a great question. I don't think we have enough time to answer it here, but can you give just a little bit, and we'll answer it in more depth at the symposium?
Do you want to go ahead?
Okay.
Pain?
Well, yeah, pain. Actually, pain is always present in our life. Sometimes, but most of the time we can not focus on it because it's not acute, right? So even right now, I'm sitting on the cushion, and I feel something uncomfortable, right, in my body, but I can deal with it. But if I have like some toothache or some acute situation, then I become aware of this pain, and actually I start concentrated on this pain. And the interesting thing from my experience is, if you start concentrating on this pain mentally, actually you will add more to this pain. So first is like, how to not start focusing on this pain, not like being ruminating about this pain mentally. That's one thing. That's not easy. Okay, when the pain is acute, that's not easy. Now, most people will just use medical intervention, use the painkillers or other things, but actually you can reduce this pain by very simple breathing exercises. And that's what actually Zen is kind of interesting, because through the meditation, and it was now scientifically proven by some research, I think in some hospital or research center in Canada. They have Zen students and a control group of people who never meditate. and they were checking their resistance to pain, how they will react to the pain. The pain was the same for everybody. And turned out that the people who meditate, who do Zen practice, not other meditation form, but Zen practice, actually have 14%, better threshold is higher for being disturbed by the pain. So definitely, our tradition is famous. You sit in meditation, and the first thing everybody experiences is a physical pain, and then how you deal with this pain, and you go deeply into this pain with this we say this not thinking mind, and then you can kind of dissolve the whole suffering around it, and using by slowing down your breath, you can definitely reduce the sensation and your reaction to it.
That's
So
great.
pain, yeah. So pain is sometimes when chronic diseases, pain. You have to accept this pain. This one thing. The second, don't make it your main concern in your life. So even you have a pain, you still try to do something about your life you usually will do without the pain. Try your best, right? Then the things, meditate and do this breathing exercise and just look in this pain with this big question: what is this? What is this really is? And you're just breathing through the pain, and the pain actually will reduce.
Well, everything is also impermanent. So even
Right.
you have chronic pain, there are moments when it appears and disappears. And so kind of experiencing the ebb and flow of those experiences will help us recognize that it can go away. And it may come back, but it also goes away. So one important thing about the breathing that Andrzej just said is when you're breathing in, then exhale longer than your inhalation. So as a very practical tool for now, you can just do breathing in and exhale very slowly, your exhalation. Just focus more on your exhalation. If you do it 3 or 4 times, right away, your sense of discomfort or anxiety will immediately reduce. And you can do that as many times throughout the day as you can remember.
That's great. Well, everyone, do join us. I'm going to do one last. This is where you can get information and register for our symposium. You'll get to spend actually like 90 minutes with Kathy and Andrzej, which is wonderful. And we will see you soon. Thank you, Kathy and Andrzej. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you,
Everybody.
Catherine. Thank you, everybody, for showing up.
Thank you very
See you at
much.
the conference.